you use LinkedIn and you use networking as two key ways to get your foot in the door. Tell me more about LinkedIn. What does somebody, a soldier need to do with LinkedIn? How do they need to set their profile up, as well as that networking piece? How do we use LinkedIn? Because we hear the story, social media, got a
Right,
network, but then we have to get off the computer and get face to face with people
right.
and talk to people. So how does that work? LinkedIn and networking.
So LinkedIn, again, this is one of those, I was fortunate. In 2000, when LinkedIn first came online, about that time frame, I had a break-in service, and I worked for an outplacement agency called Lee Hecht Harrison. They worked for a Deco subsidiary of the Deco, and so they helped when corporations downsized. They placed their those people that were let go and helped them find new positions. So I had a very entry level role in that. I was typing a lot of resumes, but they're like, "Hey, Bill, you need to create a LinkedIn profile today." I was like, "Okay, what is this?" And so I did. I actually have the advantage that my LinkedIn profile is slash Bill Holmes, like
Oh,
the
nice.
first guy, right? And uh, so from that point on, I was already building on my LinkedIn connections, and I was a little bit specific, targeted about who I allowed into my network initially.
Okay.
So I was like, I didn't want a lot of people I didn't think were going to be um, supportive of what my goals were, because I didn't want it to become such a noise channel and so wide that I couldn't rely on I know this person. And so I was very specific about that. Um, Now, as I've grown and I'm networking more, I'm like, okay, I need to pull more people in, because you want those resource connections to other people, and you find out you know this person because they know that person, right? Um, so I would say, don't do what I did, and just take accept everyone that you know. I wouldn't go. I get a lot of reach outs from like random cold call like reach outs. I'm like,
Yeah.
no, I am not accepting that, because I need to know who you are. Um, but So LinkedIn, but fill in all the profile details. Get everything filled in. Like, you should be able to look at your profile and it's basically your resume. Okay,
Right.
really line it out, and so that when someone, because believe me, if you're getting to the point of having an interview, they're looking at your LinkedIn profile,
Yes,
and
they
its
are.
completeness speaks something of you. Again, did you complete a task, or do you half do it and it's got gaps in it? So I would say finish the profile, get it all up to speed, and then do some LinkedIn learning. Especially if you're coming out of the military, you usually get a free year
Correct.
of LinkedIn Premium. Take advantage of it, do some learning, throw some classes on there that are related to whatever it is you're looking for. That shows that you're still growing and learning, and that is also a positive thing for people to reflect upon when they look at your
Yeah.
profile.
And just so people know, LinkedIn Learning is the learning modules within LinkedIn. They give all kinds of classes in management, supply chain management, all these different classes to help build your skills for someone who may not like what's LinkedIn Learning. LinkedIn Learning is the actual the university of LinkedIn that has all kinds of training and stuff
Right.
inside it.
And
So
I'll say, I don't know if this applies to the the CSPM, CSMC,
CPSM,
yeah,
CPSM, CPSM.
CPSM. But for my PMP, I actually have completed all of my continuing education units, which is like 60
Yes.
hours of learning, twice on LinkedIn Learning now. So
Yeah.
it's really beneficial, at least if you have those types of certifications, to keep your CEUs up. You can knock it out for
Right.
free.
And that's the other reason of having a good certification that requires renewal and continuing education, because that also tells anyone looking to hire you that your skills are up to date and current
Correct. Yes,
in
and that's
that
very important.
field, right? So,
Yeah.
yeah. So, so let's talk about networking, because you used LinkedIn, you identified your nephew who was older than you, and but then you reached out to him, who in then turned reached out to the hiring manager to make that personal connection. I want to, the point for this question is really to let people know that activity doesn't necessarily equal productivity. It's the correct activity that equals the result you're trying to get. So networking identifies people, but then they also, LinkedIn should identify people you physically know, personally know, to
Right.
connect you to that person.
Yes.
Can you share more about how that worked?
Um, so, uh, in that instance, my nephew lives in Ponte Vedra Beach, which is here near Jacksonville, and it just so happened that he was, connected to the CFO, not my boss. My boss is now the COO. But it was the only person I had a connection through to the company. And so I leveraged that. I tried it. I did it as well. I was looking at openings at CSX back then,
Okay.
and I found connections to CSX. I got some interesting feedback from people that worked at CSX about like I'm not gonna. It was just interesting, So it kind of like dead ended because of the feedback I was receiving at that time. And it's a powerful tool though, because think about it. Are you going to take the referral for a plumber from your neighbor who just had plumbing work done, or are you going to go through Google search and Yelp, whatever it is, the Yellow Pages, and say, oh, that plumber looks okay? You're going to take the referral.
Absolutely.
So that's the same thing as what networking is. Even if they don't really know you or know the hiring manager directly, but they work at that corporation, at least somebody's vouching for you. They're at least pull that give me that extra resume over here. I just want to take a look at this, for this person because they said something good about you. You're never going to go wrong having that network connection. I was just at a Vets on Tap networking session last night.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, am I looking for a job? No. And ironically enough, usually when I go to those, like 50% of the people there are looking for work. And of the 20 people that were there, one was. So it really just became a business networking group last night, which was interesting.
Perfect.
So you're not having to, like talking to the people that are transitioning so much as we were like doing more business relationships, but those business relationships strengthen our ability to network for the broader military community in the future. Because now I know those other companies and what they're doing. So if some other veteran comes to me, I know them. So it actually, it wasn't like a bad thing, right? So it's important to go out to those types of things too. Find those local networking groups. Doesn't have to be veteran based. They're a good starting point, but then find out about other groups. Like I'm a member of the local PMP chapter. So occasionally they have a PMP networking group. You can be certain that I'm going to go attend that meeting. I don't know those people very well, and they work for organizations that I don't have much involvement with. So it's important for me to get that expansion of my network so I understand who they are and what they do and what they bring to the table, and where there's possible synergies, if you will.